Hello there, friends, and welcome to episode 30 of That One Gaming Podcast. I'm Colin, otherwise known as Delicious Morsels, and here today is Lucas, aka Carn Evil 9. How are you today, Lucas?
Doing all right.
All right. We've also got Neal, better known as VMK89. How are you today, Neal?
I'm doing well.
Well, that's excellent. We are 30 episodes in, you guys.
Wow.
30. It's all gray hairs and aching backs from here.
Yep.
Anyway, if you are new to the podcast, welcome. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Google, or one of the many other podcasting platforms out there where the three of us get together every other week to talk about a variety of topics in the world of gaming. And hey, are you on Discord? We've got a Discord. You should totally join that. There is a link in the description below where you can join our Discord, interact with the three of us and our growing community, and even write in to the podcast. But more on that later. This week, we're going to be taking a look at one of the most popular genres in modern gaming, open world games. First rising to popularity throughout the 2000s thanks to games like Grand Theft Auto and The Elder Scrolls, open world games are characterized by their massive sprawling maps with mostly, if not entirely, seamless exploration throughout. These games often lean heavily on player freedom above anything else and can offer many different solutions to the challenges they present. Gameplay in open world games can vary widely from the survival crafting focus of the mega hit Minecraft to superhero action games like 2018's Marvel's Spider-Man, or to full-on action RPGs like the modern Assassin's Creed series. But before we get into our main topic discussion, at the front of the episode, we like to just chat about what we've been playing over the last couple weeks. So, Lucas, what you been playing?
Well, been playing a little bit of Freedom Planet.
Nice.
Doing some research for a future episode. But in playing Freedom Planet, it reminded me of another game. This one a classic on the Super Nintendo, or also the Sega Genesis. The game Sparkster, which is the sequel to Rocket Knight Adventures on the Sega Genesis, but also there was just a sequel on the Sega Genesis called Sparkster Rocket Knight Adventures 2.
Interesting. Is it one of those cases where like the different console versions is a different game?
Yes.
Ah. Okay.
Yep.
Because I'm familiar with Rocket Knight Adventures on the Genesis. I've never played it, but I'm familiar with it. Didn't know there was a sequel, much less two sequels that are different.
Yep. Two sequels with the same name but are different games that are on different consoles.
Gotta love early game sequels.
Oh yeah. Well, just early video games in general. Just the whole 16-bit era was rife with stuff like that.
Yep.
Right.
I also recently discovered, i.e. today when I was playing Sparkster, I decided to read into the series a little more. Apparently there was a reboot game on the Xbox 360 back in 2010.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's just called Rocket Knight. But, it's still starring Sparkster, the beloved possum wearing a suit of armor with her jetpack. Also, before the podcast, playing a little bit of Earthbound for the funsies of it.
Nice.
And still hooked on speed cubing from last episode, so that's been eating up a lot of time too. Square one is still awful.
What about Neal?
I'm realizing part of why this seems like I haven't played a lot of games is there was only 1 week between this episode and last one.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah. Usually it's 2 weeks, but yeah, that
Yeah.
happens.
Yep.
Yep. But yeah, I actually forgot to mention last week in addition to Sonic Forces, I have also been playing Sonic Colors. Yeah. Sonic Colors is a really good game. It gets kind of a bad rap from the fandom nowadays because it's too much of 2D, which is kind of weird to me because initially that's what people liked about footage of
Aw.
Sonic Unleashed, was that it looked like returning to 2D. And then they made Sonic Colors pretty 2D as well.
That that's an odd complaint to have, considering 2D Sonic has historically been more solid than 3D.
Yeah.
Right. Part of it is that Sonic Generations came out, and the 3D parts of Sonic Generations were really good.
Uh,
And it still did have 2D in the modern sections, and that wasn't as good as the 3D parts, but like, um, I I don't know. It helps pad out the level a little bit to make it a little bit longer because it doesn't take as much space. You have 2D sections.
Mhm.
But yeah, I personally really like Sonic Colors. I'm not even all that upset with the writing. Sonic Colors is kind of like a game that, like, in the context of when it came out in the Sonic fandom, it was really important for it to be the way it was, and that kind of gets lost in the dialogue that's around it these days. But it's also a really good game. It's really well made, and it's one of the best looking Wii games out there. Wisp looks great. There's like individual grass blades in the beginning of it, and it's just impressive. But this was a team who had already made 2 games for the Wii before it, and this was towards the end of the life cycle of the Wii. But yeah, I've been playing more Sonic Forces and Minecraft, and that's about it.
did you cause another oopsie in Minecraft?
No, not
Okay,
this time.
okay, probably for the best.
Yeah, I don't really want that to happen as a regular thing,
Understandable.
Yeah.
although it did make for a good clip.
Yeah.
So what have you been playing, Colin?
Well, I mentioned last week that I finished Final Fantasy 16, and it was phenomenal. In
Mm-hmm.
my books, a top 5 Final Fantasy game for me. But speaking of the number 5, I also mentioned that I started playing Final Fantasy 5 after that, after reading developer interviews in the lead up to 16, and the majority of the higher ups in the dev team cited 5 as their favorite Final Fantasy game in the entire franchise. So I was like, that's a good place to go after 16, I felt. And I had a couple days off for the holiday last week, and I just binged the hell out of Final Fantasy 5. I finished it in 2 days.
Dang.
19 hours. It's pretty good. It's a really, really good game. Like, I think I mentioned last week, like, I've started it many times in the past, but I think the furthest I ever got in the game was before even unlocking the Earth Crystal jobs, which is the final of the 4 crystals that you encounter in the game. So, like, that's still just knocking on the door of a third of the way through this game. So finally actually finishing it and being able to actually play with all of the jobs that the game has access to and stuff is super, super fun. You can do so many crazy builds with this game because of how versatile the job system is. Because once a character masters a specific job, you can then take all of the unique abilities to that job, and every single character has like one so when you assign a job to a character, you have a slot that is reserved to the unique ability from that job, and then you have a second slot that you can assign from anything out of a pool of other unique abilities from that job or abilities from other jobs that you have mastered. So if you take your knight, and say your knight was previously a white mage, mastered the white mage class, now you can assign the ability to cast white magic to your knight, and suddenly you have all the benefits of being a knight, but also having white magic access. And just imagine that, but with like the full versatility of like, I think there's like 14 different jobs in this game. And all of them have all these different unique abilities to kind of pull from. So I ended up with like, it far from optimal, I would say, but it was still fun to mess around with. My final party ended up being Bart's the main character. I had him as a ninja, which ninja, one of their unique passive abilities is the ability to dual wield. So I also gave him the ability to wield, I don't know exactly what they're called, but basically the swords that a knight could wield, basically. I took that trait from him having mastered the knight class and gave it to him as a ninja, so he could dual wield the strongest swords in the game. So that's why I have him as a ninja dual wielding the 2 strongest swords in the game, and he was just doing massive damage with all of his attacks, and it was hilarious. And then ooh, ugh. Then Lena I had as a samurai with white magic capabilities. And then I had her equipped with the strongest katana in the game. And so she was my dedicated healer, having all the strongest white magic spells and all that, but she could also deal good physical damage, being a samurai with the strongest katana she had access to. And then the samurai, their unique skill that they have is you just throw money at the enemy and it does a whole ton of damage. Like literally, like she was doing like 4,000 damage per turn to the final boss, just throwing all my money at it because it's like it's the final battle. I've got like freaking 200,000 gil. I don't need this. It's just freaking chucking it at the final boss. And then Ferris I had as a knight with, I think I gave her the ability to cast spells on her weapons. It's called the Mystic Knight is one of the jobs, and their specialty is enchanting their weapon with elemental magic spells and stuff. So I think I have Ferris as a knight with the second most powerful sword in the game, and then using Mystic Knight powers to enchant the sword with different spells. So I could basically like put a Firaga spell, the strongest fire spell, on her sword and deals massive fire damage and stuff with that. And then Krill, she was a time mage with, I think, the ability to summon, I think is what I had for her secondary. So the time mage is like the class that casts like haste and slow and stuff like that in this game. They're not like black or white magic spells in this game. They're their own separate thing. So I think that's what I have for Krill. But yeah, the final boss fight was super fun. There's one specific song in the game that was really cool every time it played. It was the main theme of the main villain. But the sound team that worked on all of the remixes for the Pixel remaster went way harder with that song than they had to and turned it into this like really cool metal song. So every single time the big bad guy shows up on screen, it's like he's got this like epic freaking symphonic metal track that's playing in the background. It's so cool.
Cool.
But yeah, the final boss theme music also is really good. One of my favorites in the series. I feel like with Dancing Mad and One Winged Angel, all of the other final boss themes in the series kind of get overshadowed by those two, but there's some really, really good ones. And Final Fantasy 4 and 5 both have some of my favorites in the franchise. And yeah, I finished Final Fantasy 5. It's really, really good. Highly recommend it. Like, of all the Super Nintendo era Final Fantasies, I kind of rank them, my personal ranking kind of puts them in order of their release. So I think Final Fantasy IV is my favorite, 5 is a close second, and then 6 is my least favorite of the Super Nintendo Final Fantasies. The numerical ones, Lucas. Not talking about Mystic Quest. But
yeah, I like Mystic Quest.
It's not a bad game. People will try to tell you it's a bad game. It's not bad. It's just simple.
Yeah.
It's just simple.
Yeah. It's Final Fantasy Light for people who don't have good attention span for our PVGs.
And then another game I tried picking up last night was I threw Dragon Ball Z Kakarot in my PS5. I've been wanting to play this game for ages, and the PS5 version is got a lot of upgrades over the previous generation, as well as just having a lot of the DLC packed in with it. So you, in addition to just having the Saiyan saga, you also get access to the Frieza, Cell, and I think Buu sagas with the current gen version, where they were DLC expansions to the previous gen. I don't know how I feel about this game. The premise of it is an open world RPG set in, basically you play from the beginning of the Dragon Ball Z anime all the way through to the end of the Dragon Ball Z anime. Kind of like just what any other Dragon Ball Z game has been, really, but this is in the form of an open world RPG. But what I'm struggling to get into with it is just the controls, especially in combat, because they're really, really clunky. Like the punch button, like it's all like one button controls and stuff. So you're not doing like multiple levels of punches and kicks like you would in a fighting game. You have a button that's your melee attacks. You have a button that's your key blasts. And then you hold down a button and then push any one of the face buttons to do specials and stuff. But just the way it's all mapped out is really frustrating. And I find I'm fighting more with the controls than I'm fighting with the enemies on the screen. So I played up to the fight with Raditz, and it's still pretty early in the game. I mean, it gets you there within the first hour, 2 hours of the game. You're already fighting Raditz, so...
Saying who's as strong as the Cybermen says what?
No, my space armor! No, my space pod! We get it! You're from space! But, no, the controls are just like super frustrating. Like the melee attack is mapped to circle. The key blast is square. And that right there is already really frustrating to kind of switch between, because like your main attack should be the melee attack, so it would be more natural on the square button, but it's on the circle button. So, and then every time I try to do like a melee, I'm constantly firing key blast, which uses up your energy, so you gotta charge up more energy, which you do by holding down triangle. And what's really frustrating is they do give you remapping options for the controls, but what's really stupid about it is the confirm button is tied to the punch button.
Mm-hmm.
So if I remap my punch to square, I'm also remapping my confirm button to square, and that's just really dumb. I don't know. I was really just kind of looking for something to... I didn't feel like playing something really old, which was what the next game I'll be talking about. Last night, I was in the mood for something a little more modern, so I was like, oh, I'll try out some Dragon Ball Z Kakarot and see what this is about, because I love Dragon Ball Z. But I found myself, by the time I was done with that couple hours, just feeling like I would just rather watch the anime than play this game. And that's not a feeling you want to have when you're playing a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to it later, but first impressions weren't the strongest, unfortunately. Kind of bummed out about that, because like there's so, like, literally it goes from the beginning to the end of Dragon Ball Z. But you get to play all of it. And you get to play multiple characters. Like there was a section I played as Piccolo for a minute and got to fight Raditz as Piccolo. So that was cool. But like, I don't know, those controls are just I gotta play it when like that's the only game I'm playing, so I can like really dial in on those. Otherwise, I don't know. It's all right.
Even for
Just
someone who doesn't speak PlayStation, that sounds awful.
it's just I don't know what they were doing. Like, cause I mean, obviously I didn't expect it to play like Dragon Ball Z Budokai because Budokai is a fighting game. But I would have liked it a little bit more close to Dragon Ball Xenoverse, which was still a fighting game, but it was more of like an open field type of fighting game. So, I don't know. We'll give it another shot later on down the line. I was while I was waiting for it to install, I hopped in and played a couple matches of Fortnite just to kill time. And Fortnite hit me again.
Yep.
I hopped in the car. And there's a bunch of radio stations in the game with licensed music.
Uh-huh.
And I hopped in the car, put on the radio to the rock station, and it's freaking Fueled by Metallica.
Yep.
God dang it, Fortnite, why? Why do you do this to me? Why is Fortnite such a good game?
I feel like I need to fire up Unreal Tournament.
Oh my god. It's stupid. I hate that I love this game so much.
I hate that it's the reason we're not getting Unreal Tournament anymore.
Oh my god, but it's so fun though. I hate to admit it, but it's a very well made game.
And
It's really fun.
yeah,
I
admit it, but yeah, Epic still makes good games, even if those good games are not Unreal Tournament or Unreal related.
yeah. I've been bouncing around the idea of because I'm trying to find time to dedicate to playing some Fortnite each week to grind up so I can actually unlock the Optimus Prime skin, which is the entire reason I decided to play Fortnite to begin with.
Yep.
I was bouncing around the idea of doing like a stream once a week, playing Fortnite, just goofing around. I don't know. I was thinking like because Friday Night Fortnite has a bit of a ring to it.
It does.
But I'm not available. But I only have yeah. Fortnite. Why? Why do you do this to me? I have a lot to say about what I've been playing, huh?
Yeah.
Considering it's only been a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be kind of brief with the next one. This one last game. I went back in the Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, which is an older role-playing game from the company Nihon Falcom. I don't know if I ever really mentioned it on the podcast, but I know that I've talked about it with you guys trying to install on my Steam Deck a while back because there's a fan voice mod for the game that I was installing. Got that working, and so I'm about 8 hours into the game so far. I just finished the prologue, and it's really good. I like the fan voice mod. It's very obviously a fan dub. Like there's some characters that are just like not quite there with their line delivery, but for what it is, it's actually really good and making me enhancing the experience for me a lot. I really like the people that voice the two main characters, Estelle and Joshua. And I like the dynamic between those two characters too, because Estelle is like really bubbly, ditzy type, head in the clouds, and Joshua is more level-headed, and he's always ragging for being way too brash and all that. But the gameplay, the battle system is really neat because it's a turn-based battle system, but it's how would I explain it? It kind of takes place on a grid that the characters and enemies can move throughout over the course of a battle. So you have to actually move into range of an enemy to attack them, as opposed to just being like Final Fantasy turn-based style where you have your guys on one side and the enemies on the other sort of thing. You actually have to like move to the range that your attack is able to hit an enemy before you can hit them and stuff.
An
So that's
RPG that turns into a TP or TBS. when you enter a battle, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of depth to the battle system. The game has kind of like almost a materia system from Final Fantasy VII, where in this they call them orbments, but basically each character has this kind of piece of equipment that you can slot these little, they call them quartz, but it's basically materia. You slot it in to the character and they gain a stat buff and they gain use of a spell and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Like the materia system from Final Fantasy VII is like one of the most well-known RPG subsystems in the genre. So seeing something kind of loosely based on that kind of feels at home to me, kind of playing with it. But the reason I got into those games because I hear nonstop, like my Twitter is full of RPG nerds because that's like all I talk about. So like I just hear nonstop about this Trails series. There's Trails in the Sky, Trails of Cold Steel, and Trails from Zero like there's like 3 different main arcs in this franchise. It's been going since like this game came out in 2004, I think. Originally on what did it come out on originally? I think it originally released on PC in Japan, and then it was ported to the PSP in like 2011 when it first got localized, and then ported to Steam somewhere in like 2014 or something like that. So this series has been going on for a long time. There's like 10 games now, and the latest one actually just Trails into Reverie just launched this past Friday. And that game is a culmination of all 3 of the main arcs of this franchise. And each of these arcs is 3 to 4 games each. So like I'm at the very beginning of a very, very session of playing through these RPGs because it's probably one of the biggest, most up and coming RPG franchises in recent years. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but it hasn't really reached a level of popularity until very recently. So I'm looking forward to my adventure with this franchise because I like where it's going. And I guess Trails from Cold Steel or Trails of Cold Steel, something like that. That arc, there's 4 games in that arc. And that one introduces like mechs and stuff.
Oh,
so
right up your alley as a series fan.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting the Cold Steel once I finish up Sky, but I mean Sky is 3 games on its own, so it's gonna be a little while. But yeah, I like it. Highly recommend it. If you are into RPGs, check out the Trails series if you haven't already, because they are phenomenal. Just from the little bit I've experienced, but from all the word online is like, if you like RPGs, play these games because they're really good. So, yeah. I think this is the 2nd week in a row where I monopolized the what we've been playing segment. I think it's time to move on. Which is weird. I usually only have a couple things to say.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Things to say, but
yeah.
Sometimes like an old hobby of mine will resurface and I feel the need to try and lower my 7x7 average.
But anyway. But let's move over to our next segment, which is Hey Listeners!
Hey, listen!
Our brand new segment that we introduced last week with listener prompts that we give our Discord community to respond to and write in, and we read their comments here on the podcast. So this week, since our topic is open world games, we just asked our listeners in the Discord, simply, what are your thoughts on open world games? And our first write-in today comes from Crystal Lily, and she writes in, like you can too, if you join our Discord at the link in the description below. She writes, I love them, but they have to be full open world. Many have tried, but they have levels in them, like Kirby and the Forgotten Land. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it, but I wouldn't consider it open world. Something more like Skyrim, where you can interact with the world around you and there are consequences for everything that you decide. and that changes the world around you. Or even in like Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild. Those games are some of the best introductory games that set what I think many would agree an open world standard should be. I say that not just as an opinion, but the fact is that these games have inspired so many indie and even mainstream games alike to go well beyond what could be done in a gaming world. Yeah, absolutely. Like Skyrim is definitely one of the bigger open world games, I would say, and Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild by far revolutionized what you could do, and I would agree. Yeah, they're definitely one of the golden standards for what I would consider good game design in an open world space.
Yeah, like Skyrim ignited a lot of open world games, but then when Minecraft came along and ignited that genre, it took a while for that to sort of come to like already existing games. Like she mentions Forgotten Kingdom, or Forgotten Land rather.
Mm-hmm.
Breath of the Wild kind of paved the path for that, of like, let's make open world games in series that traditionally didn't have as much of an open world.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. And our next write-in comes from Lord Kirov, and he writes, "Okay, Neal, you asked for a rant, so here you go." Neal, what'd you get us into?
I mean, look at the 2 paragraphs there.
Yeah. Kirov writes, "Hard to say, honestly. In my opinion, it's all about balance. It varies depending on the subgenre, but I think I can fit it into the 2 that I enjoy: open world survival and open world story. For an open world story game, it needs a good story. The game kind of rests on it, but it can't be too railroady or the point of an open world is wasted. Its replayability depends on the big choices and what small games or tasks you can do in the game. Horizon Zero Dawn is a good example of a more recent open world story game that did things right, in my opinion. But it didn't quite get there. It had a limited crafting system and the general gameplay was great. However, the best representative of all time is Skyrim. It's the go-to when I hear the world's open world game. It's so iconic, I don't know if it won't ever be a game that is known to 90% of our generation and onward. It's hard to say what Skyrim does right. Okay, on to the stuff I know more about and have stronger opinions: open world survival games. Minecraft is obvious, but games like Ark, Rust, The Long Dark, The Forest, and many more all have the same addicting aspect that I feel an open world survival game needs to have: creative creation. You can build things, you can craft shelters, make castles, you can feel the progress as you go from a fresh new save to a bustling city that you grinded for supplies to build, and many times along with your friends. Shaping the world around you gives you visual sense of accomplishment that single-player story games like Skyrim and Horizon don't have. I could spend 6 hours working on a fortress in Minecraft and none of it is pre-planned by the developers. Some games might have a loose story, like in The Forest for example, but nothing gets hard locked away if you take the time to grind and explore. Skyrim is great to turn off my brain for a few hours, but Minecraft is what gets those creative juices going. And that's a lot to unpack there, for sure. But absolutely agree with you there on the Horizon Zero Dawn front. I think we'll probably get into it more once we get into our discussion. But yeah, that's definitely, like, it's a really good story, but a lot of open world games, when they try to have a strong narrative, it just kind of suffers from the fact that it's open world and everything is kind of disjointed because you're not going from a story beat to a story beat necessarily.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a balance of making it roadie, but still having a good story, and that is very tricky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thank you guys for writing in, and like I've said multiple times already, just a reminder, if you want to write in and get your stuff read on the podcast as well, join our Discord in the description below. And let's move on to our main topic, discussion about open world games. So I just want to start off the discussion Just by reading a paragraph from just a Wikipedia page for open world, I mean, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's just a good generalization to get us into what we're going for here. But games with open or free roaming worlds typically lack level structures like walls and locked doors, or the invisible walls in more open areas that prevent the player from venturing beyond them. Only at the bounds of an open world game will players be limited by geographic features like vast oceans or impassable mountains. Players typically do not encounter loading screens common in linear level when moving about the game world, with the open world game using strategic storage and memory techniques to load the game world in a dynamic and seamless manner. Open world games still enforce many restrictions in the game environment, either because of the absolute technical limitations or in-game limitations imposed by the game's linearity. While the openness of the game world is an important facet to games featuring open worlds, the main draw of open world games is about providing the player with autonomy. Not so much the freedom to do anything they want in the game, which is nearly impossible with current computing technology, but the ability to choose how to approach the game and its challenges in the order and manner as the player desires, while still constrained by gameplay rules. Examples of high level of autonomy in computer games can be found in massively multiplayer online role-playing games or in single-player games adhering to the open world concept, such as the Fallout series. The main appeal of open world gameplay is that it provides a simulated reality and allows players to develop their character and its behavior in the direction and pace of their own choosing. In these cases, there is often no concrete goal or end to the game, although there may be a main storyline, such as with games like Skyrim. Okay, with all that in mind, this entire genre talk type of episode kind of came up with open world at the forefront because Lucas likes to rant about these things.
Yep.
Lucas has some. So if you listen to our previous genre talk episode, which was about platformers, we were pretty unanimously favorable in that episode, I would say. Like, we had some critiques, I think, but overall, generally, that's a thing that we all enjoy, genre-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Open world games, we might find some hotter, spicier takes this week. So if you are a huge fan of these games,
Yep.
you have been warned.
And I've been fired.
So yeah, Lucas, I guess why don't you just kick us off, and then Neal and I can just tell you why you're wrong.
Yeah, sure. So really, the whole concept for our genre talk episodes actually did spawn out of a rant that I had one night at our weekly game night over at our friend Hunter's house.
Literally, I looked at our episode suggestion document one night, and randomly there were 2 more things added in there. Why is every game open world? And why is every game a genre we will save for later?
Yeah. So I'm not going to say I completely dislike open world games as a whole, but I am very, very annoyed with seemingly every game trying to force an open world when it very much did not need to be an open world. The rant in particular that kind of spawned the idea for genre talks was the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games, which very much did not need to be open world games, but were because marketing buzzwords, assumingly.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, those would have benefited a lot if each biome was just separated by a loading screen, honestly. Like,
yeah.
I think it would have saved them a lot of resources in the long run. But
yeah, probably. Because that game has probably some attached to being an open world game performance issues.
Yeah.
Putting in a loading screen every so often isn't going to kill the experience.
But my immersion.
Yeah, but if you look at what's seemingly from our viewers and listeners, the gold standard seems to be Skyrim. Like, that game loaded in between going in and out of buildings, and
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Skyrim was full of load screens. I mean,
Yeah.
every time you entered a city, you get a load screen. Really, the only seamlessness in the game was when you were actually out in the world itself,
yeah,
and
Right.
all of that was all loaded in at once and all that, and like enemies would spawn in as you approach their spawn points and stuff like that. But yeah, Skyrim was not a 100% seamless open world either, and that's
Yep.
definitely one of the gold standards of the genre by far.
yeah.
I don't think they could have made that game a seamless experience, honestly. I mean, nowadays, probably could have.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see how Starfield turns out in September, if that's got like a bunch of loading screens or not. Another thing
Yeah.
is a lot of devs have gotten more clever over the years with hiding them,
Mm-hmm.
using tricks like, I mean, famously Mass Effect 1 used the elevator trick where,
Right.
I mean, you would hop in an elevator and you were very obviously in a loading screen, but it was presented in a way that it wasn't totally obvious.
Right.
And then more controversially, you see like the crevices and the shimmying through tight spaces and
Oh.
stuff. And all of a sudden everyone's like, man, there's such lazy game design. It's like nowadays, whenever people see it, it's like automatically, because some developers do use that as a way to hide a load screen and stuff, but some people just use it as an artistic choice to kind of funnel the player to a specific point that they want them to go to. And then they want to kind of discourage them from backtracking at that point, like whether it serves some form of narrative purpose or whatnot and stuff. But a lot of times, like, it's not even necessarily a load screen at all. It's just a developer's choice in that moment of gameplay.
Yeah.
But now whenever anyone sees a freaking crevice that they gotta squeeze through, like, oh my god, this is so lazy.
Yeah.
But a lot of modern gaming discourse is just really stupid, bad Twitter takes like that. Anyway, I'm sure we're still gonna have some bad takes here, but I mean,
Yeah.
you can you can join our Discord in the link below and tell us how wrong we are later.
Tell me I'm some sort of gamer boomer because all of my takes on open world are mostly rooted in, like, I think it leads to, in some aspects, kind of lazy level design because there's no real form of progression that you get because you can just go anywhere, which can be a good thing, but also, like, there's no real direction for the game, and I don't know, I just kind of prefer things to be a little more structured.
That's fair. Yeah,
I like
find,
Minecraft because it's a sandbox game first.
yeah,
It's kind of open world by the nature of being procedurally generated until forever.
right.
Mostly forever.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
like,
speaking like sandboxes in general, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom came out this year, and I would say next to Minecraft, it's probably the greatest open world sandbox that's ever been made. Just with all of the tools that the game gives you, the physics in that game especially is just like next level stuff, and it's on a 7-year-old piece of hardware that they managed to pull this off with. Like, it's unbelievable. But yeah, sandboxy games, they definitely do lend themselves more to the just kind of make your own fun type of play.
Yeah.
Which, like, I think that's where I find I enjoy open world games the most as well nowadays. Even though I am more of a narrative focused type of gamer with like my preference of RPGs and stuff, but I find like if I want to be told a story, I enjoy it much more in a linear fashion than I do in open world, because open world storytelling can just be so I kind of like mentioned it in my little aside to one of the Hey listeners comments, but like open world storytelling can just be so disjointed because you're not being funneled from a story beat to the next story beat. You could go and do the next story mission, and then you could spend freaking 30 hours doing over whatever the hell else you want to do before you even get back to the story. And that just...
A metaphor could be like the story in a movie versus the story in a D&D campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
sort of.
Yeah. You're basically at the DM's discretion in a D&D campaign, whereas like if you're following the story progression of a movie, then like it's going to take you to plot point A to plot point B to plot point C.
And there's no like, hey, let's go talk to this person that the DM has to improv for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What I find the best narrative driven open world games, the ones that do it best, are the ones that don't try to distract you from just doing the critical path if that's what you want to do.
Right.
And a lot of open world games nowadays, especially on the Ubisoft front, go so out of their way in trying to distract you from just playing through the story. Like Assassin's Creed is notoriously bad for this nowadays, for just having a million things on the map, and your story mission could be a few miles apart from each other in a straight line. But in that straight line, you're encountering 60 other little tiny little things that kind of pull you off the path and divert your attention. And then you find yourself 10 hours later, you're like, wait, what was I doing? Wait, the story's over that way. Now I'm not as invested in the previous story beat that I just completed because I'm 10 hours off picking berries or whatever. And now going into the next story beat, I don't have that same level of investment as I did before because now I've just got this giant gap of time between them.
Yep.
Right.
And
Where,
for as much as Skyrim is beloved in regards to the open world genre, Skyrim kind of had that problem too, where you could just pick up quests from anyone, anywhere, it seemed.
yeah, but what the thing with Skyrim in particular, though, that I give it a pass, is that the story is actually the worst part of that game.
Right. I was about to say, if you get to this point with stories that you're like, I'm losing my flow of the story, it doesn't matter if all of the gameplay is really, really fun and you really enjoy it, because then you're just having a good time playing the game, and then the story is like superfluous, and that can be good or bad, and if it's good, it's even better.
Right. Yeah, like the Skyrim thing in particular, though, I mean, definitely Skyrim deserves discussion.
Yeah.
Because it by far like one of the most influential games of the modern era. It's only been released on 5 console generations now at this point, basically. You could run it.
Yeah.
I mean, in 10 more years, you'll be able to buy a refrigerator with Skyrim pre-installed. So, but what I find, I give Skyrim a pass on the narrative front more so than like more narratively driven games like Assassin's Creed or Horizon, is because Skyrim, a lot of the narrative actually just comes from what you're doing in the moment, because they did such a good job. I think I remember some of the developer interviews back when the game was new. They talked about how they had a system in the game where you couldn't walk for more than a specified amount of time without something happening. Like, and it wasn't like a distracting, like a million map markers kind of way, like Assassin's Creed and Horizon do.
You can sure get that, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like you'd be but they did it in a way that's intelligent and makes the world feel more like it's lived in than anything else on top of that, because like you just walk through the woods and then all of a sudden there's a bear just comes out of nowhere and just starts freaking chasing you down and stuff, and just like I don't know what it is about Skyrim specifically that it just does it so well that I care less about trying to focus on any of the story aspects of the game, and it's all about just what I'm doing in the game.
Right.
Plus, I mean, all the side storylines are so much better than the main quest line. Like the main quest line, you basically, the only thing you do is you follow it up until you get your shouts fully unlocked, and then you could just ignore it. It doesn't exist, basically. Like it's there to unlock the mechanics that you need for the rest of the game, and then it can just not exist, essentially, because the Dark Brotherhood and the companions are such more compelling storylines and unlock much more fun things to do. And the Thieves Guild and stuff, like they're just so much more fun than the base storyline is.
Yeah. I definitely got caught up hunting down the Daedric artifacts.
Yeah, those are fun too.
Yeah.
A new hand has touched the bacon. But yeah, the Daedric artifacts are really fun to chase down. I like the Wabbajack.
Yep.
The Wabbajack is so much fun.
Yeah. I accidentally gave that to Lydia.
Oh no.
Poorly. It also went hilariously, but
As it does.
Yep.
Yeah, I still really want to play Skyrim in VR at some point. I really hope it gets a place. I will buy PlayStation VR 2 for Skyrim if they do a PSVR 2 port of that game. Because I want to take Lydia up to the top of High Hrothgar and just yeet her off the top of it with a shout in VR.
Yeah.
I need to do this. So Bethesda, like as many times as you've just milked Skyrim and continued to milk Skyrim, once Starfield is out, could you divert some resources over to a new VR port of that game, please? I mean, I'll give you a pass for that one. It'd be really cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
It does also get kind of complicated with Microsoft owning them now, though.
Yeah. It's like PlayStation has VR and Xbox has dwindling support from Microsoft themselves, it seems.
Xbox doesn't even have modern haptics in their controller yet.
Yeah.
They don't even have gyro in the controller. Like I bought the Starfield controller. It's a great controller, don't get me wrong, but it's got nothing as far as like the overall like features that you would expect in a modern day console controller. Like it has none of the haptics like the PlayStation controller has. It has none of the gyro functions. Like even the freaking Nintendo Switch has gyro functions in their Pro controllers.
Yep. Nintendo's had gyro functions for a long
They
time.
have.
Yeah.
Are you really gonna let your brand new fancy pants Xbox Series X get shown up by an overclocked GameCube with a couple of Bluetooth controllers? Because that's what you're doing.
And you can even play Skyrim on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was that. I remember when the Switch was announced and they had Skyrim in the announcement trailer for the Switch.
Yes.
That was like,
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to buy a new Nintendo console regardless of what
Right.
that thing ended up being. But as soon as Skyrim came on there, I was like, day one,
Right.
portable Skyrim.
Yes.
And of course, nowadays we got the Steam Deck and a bunch of other like portable PCs that'll run it on them as well. But like back in
Back in the
freaking
day, yeah.
back in
I can't believe I
2016,
just-
back in
I can't believe I
2016,
just said back in the day about 2016. Oh God.
back in
But yeah.
2016 when that Switch was announced and Skyrim was like the headline game that they announced with it, it was just like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's how you sell a console, by porting a then 5-year-old game to it.
Yep.
Yeah, well, now we're just digressing into why the Switch is great, but like that is the benefit of portable gaming computers is like now they're advanced enough to play these games that were previously locked to consoles.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is kind of what's been happening ever since like the Game Boy Advance, where they would start bringing over SNES stuff.
Yeah.
But like gaming quality went up exponentially, and handheld quality did not quite until we got the Switch.
But going back to like narrative based, especially open world games, I find that there's like two things in particular where it can work really well. Obviously the one is when it's not trying to distract you from the narrative, which would be like a game where I would say obviously like Assassin's Creed, Horizon Forbidden West was like really, really notorious for this. I think Zero Dawn, it wasn't as bad, or maybe I just wasn't as fatigued on open world games back when I played Zero Dawn. But with Forbidden West, it was just like there was just so much junk on the map at all times that it was just so distracting trying to go from one story beat to another. And that's a game that leaned really, really heavily on its story as well. So getting distracted and stuff from that really hurt my experience with that game, especially. But another way that games can kind of be sort of narratively based, but still work kind of well, is if, like Skyrim, the narrative doesn't necessarily matter as much, which is it's kind of
Right.
it's kind of like counterproductive to say that about a narrative based game. But I think about like the Grand Theft Auto series especially,
Yes,
where
I
they have a they have a story that they're telling, but that's not the focus of the game necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the way that they tell all of their stories is there is like a common thread that goes from point A to B, like from beginning to end, but their stories are all told in like little vignettes, sort of.
Right.
Like each mission is its own little vignette, and they all kind of come together over the course of the game to provide the whole narrative.
Yeah. And
Like,
Grand Theft Auto 3 especially was like kind of the game that like the earliest game to set a standard for
yeah.
what an open world game should look like.
Yep.
And yeah, that was a lot of like quests that sort of like tied into this world, but like since you have this larger world, there's lots of people inside it doing various things. And
Yeah.
and yeah, there's like a connecting thread between them, like you said.
Yeah, and then like Vice City especially. I didn't play a lot of GTA 3 when I was younger. I had it, but I didn't get it until like I already had really, really gotten into Vice City, and Vice City was such an improvement over 3
Right.
that I just enjoyed playing Vice City more. But just the way that Vice City worked is like, yeah, you go to a mission and it's just a little self-contained little vignette that
Right.
by the end of it, it advances the plot of the game, but it's all like the narrative stuff that you need to care about is there contained within that story of the mission at that point in time, sort of thing. So then you can do a mission when you feel like, or you can just go and rob a car and go drive around wreaking havoc across Vice City for a couple hours, because that's with a game like that, like that's where a lot more of the enjoyment came from, is just experiencing the world. And it wasn't quite sandboxy, but it was pretty sandboxy still. Like you got a lot of vehicles and stuff that you can play with. You've got a lot of weapons and stuff to play with and stuff, but it wasn't like, on a mechanical standpoint, it wasn't quite a sandbox, if that makes sense.
Yeah, right. Can't necessarily build things.
Yeah.
I think like later Grand Theft Autos, you could actually build like tracks and stuff, but that's. Am I thinking of the right thing?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I mean, there was, starting in Vice City though. Maybe there was a little bit in Grand Theft Auto 3, but they really leaned into it with Vice City and San Andreas. And then a little bit less so with 5, except for the online component. But you could purchase property.
thinking
throughout
5
the
on
city.
my...
And
5
that's
is the most recent one, right?
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most recent one that's also been on 5 console generations.
Yeah.
Or
Oh
if
my
you
god.
say, oh, I don't know, The Elder Scrolls 5.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about like game companies and the 5th entry in their series.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you wonder what Valve would do with their 5th entry if they could ever count past 2. But
Can't
yeah,
wait for
like
Steam Deck 2 Episode 2.
but one thing I really liked about Grand Theft Auto was always just the property purchasing and stuff like that. Like especially in Vice City. I think Vice City to this date, I mean, objectively it got better in San Andreas and GTA 5. I don't think they did it in GTA 4, honestly. But I still think it was best personally I liked it best in Vice City just because of like the variety of the um properties that you could buy. I remember those, like you could buy car dealerships and stuff. Then you have access to like all their garages for vehicle storage and all that. And you can just take a car off the showroom floor and drive off in it because who cares? You own the building and stuff.
Sounds like a dealership sales writer that I can think of.
Yeah, talking about GTA reminds me of the game Driver San Francisco, which had an interesting mechanic of it's a street racing game, similar to GTA, but it has a story. It's a little more story heavy than GTA, but the mechanic in specifically Driver San Francisco was that you could control other drivers. So you could like be driving in one car, send it hurtling towards an intersection, jump to a different car, and then cause a crash if you wanted to.
Nice.
And you could also do it like mid-race and cause a driver to go off course, and you can get ahead that way. Or you can just play it like you would GTA and have normal races and just normal exploring. But they use this to also have tons of those little vignettes because every single car that you jumped into had at least one person in it, obviously. But sometimes there are two, and so they would be in the middle of a conversation, and suddenly you're controlling this person, and you'd get this small little story that just made this world feel so alive in a way that some open world games that aren't the Skyrim style walk around and talk to people aren't. Like GTA doesn't really have that as much. You don't interact with the other cars because you can't in a car.
You can crash into them.
Yeah.
You can shoot the driver and cause his head to go into the steering wheel and then plow forward because he also falls into the gas pedal.
It's interaction.
Yeah, fair enough.
But like you're not really interacting with NPCs outside of story moments in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Except for I mean, obviously like shooting them and robbing them and stuff like that, and just all the like be a horrible person type shenanigans that you can get into in those games. But
Yeah.
another open world game that I actually do really enjoy though, and I wish they would make some more of, is the Middle Earth series, Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. Those games are notable because they feature what is called the Nemesis system. So basically, you are a character like traveling throughout Mordor and all that, because the whole point of the game. But all throughout, you encounter a bunch of orcs from Sauron's army and their generals. And the whole point of the game is you're supposed to basically like use these special powers that you were given by this other character to basically enslave an army of orcs to use to like kind of storm the gates sort of and take revenge on these people that killed your family sort of thing. I don't know. It's been a long time since I played these games. Anyway, the way the system worked was every single one of these orc generals sort of had their own personalities and traits and all that. And they kind of every time they encounter you, they remember you and evolve from the experience, sort of. So essentially, like, you could have a fight with this orc and say you kill him, you beat him, but he doesn't actually die. He comes back later and he's got scars from his fight with you. Like if you defeat him using fire or something, maybe when he comes back, he's got like burns all over his body and stuff like that. And just the
That's
way that
cool.
it's really, really cool. And unfortunately, the company that made those games patented the system. So they're the only ones that could use it. And they haven't used it since Shadow of War. And that was like 2018.
Uh-huh.
They're supposed to be working on a Wonder Woman game with that system in it, but they announced that like pre-COVID
Oh.
and haven't heard anything of it since.
Uh,
But what that system allows for was just a lot of like kind of making your own story as you go type of thing, which I mentioned I really like about open world games that do it well, because your experience playing that game will be entirely different from mine, because like the orcs that I am pressed up against might have rolled completely significantly different traits than the ones that you guys get put up against. So, and it's really cool. It's all like randomly generated and stuff, so they're always different. And say one thing that's really cool also is if like you do manage to actually like get the killing blow on one of these orc generals, one of their grunts in the surrounding area can get promoted up in their place. So then they all of a sudden go from just common, like rankless, generic orc. Suddenly they have a name and they have traits and skills and weaknesses and stuff that are unique to them. And it all just constantly just keeps rotating all throughout your play of the game. And it's really, really cool. One of the coolest systems I've seen in an open world game. And what I like to do when I play those games is I challenge myself, because like I said, one of the powers that you are given is the ability to kind of like take over the minds of orcs and stuff. And it's really easy to do for like just the grunts. You can just like walk up to them and take over their mind because their minds are still weak. But for any of the generals, you either have to like severely weaken them or like completely get the drop on them using stealth of some kind in order to take over their minds. But what I would try to do whenever I played these games was try to see if I could get the entire Nemesis board filled up just entirely with orcs that I controlled. Just like I control every single one of the generals in this army, basically. And there's a couple times where I got close, but just never quite made it. But it was like super fun to do.
Well, I've been wanting to bring up like what was the origins. We talked about GTA already, but like the origins of open world games in the history of gaming, because like it goes back really far, like looking at the Wikipedia page, but where it really took off, as far as I can tell from doing research here, is around the PS2 era.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty much Grand Theft Auto 3 that really spearheaded it.
Yeah,
I mean there were games that you could say were open world prior to that, but like nothing like compared to like the open world structure that we see today came before GTA 3.
Well, part of Insomniac and Naughty Dog got directions from Sony to make sure that there wouldn't be loading screens in Ratchet and Clank or Jak and Daxter.
Mm-hmm.
Ratchet and Clank went the way of hiding their loading screens on the ship flying into the planet, or landing on the planet, not flying into it, which isn't open world. It felt more like levels. But Jak and Daxter, the original one, and even the ones after it, were more open world. And I think that
well, Jak 2 and Jak 3 all really leaned into a GTA style inspiration for those.
Yes, they did. And I think that, seeing that, games can come out without loading screens, once Jack and Dexter and Ratchet had done that, it kind of like made like, hey, we could do more with this.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that I remembered was Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
That's one with a story, but it's a very loose story. And I don't know, would you say Shadow of the Colossus is like you make your own story? Because you kind of do, but like you're railroaded, sort of?
I haven't played more than a demo of that game to really
Okay.
know for sure.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
probably the only person who's played it.
yeah. I've been
um,
meaning to play the PS4 remaster, but haven't got to it
yeah,
yet.
I recommend it. You can go wherever you want, kind of like Breath of the Wild, but like the order you take down bosses can be up to you, but it has an end goal that you get essentially railroaded into once you kill all the bosses, which I'm not going to spoil because it's a very good twist. But it is open world in the fact that you're running around this huge empty place and you can go wherever you want and you have a horse to travel on and you can explore. At the same time, it doesn't feel like an open world that we've been talking about more recently here because there aren't NPCs at all. You're alone in this creepy place.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, but it's creepy and the giant colossi don't help. But yeah, I would say it started with PS2, but it goes further back than that. Like early examples, Legend of Zelda was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the original Legend of Zelda is pretty wide open.
Yeah.
It's almost like a Metroidvania slapped onto an RPG in some ways, because like you're only limited by the items that you collect from dungeons to progress.
Yeah.
Yep.
Scarlet Violet should not have been an open world. It did not need to be.
Yeah. I guess we should kind of get into everything using open world. It's kind of infected everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Scarlet and Violet are definitely good examples of, like you said, Lucas, just games that didn't necessarily need the open world thing. I mean, we have been asking for a very long time for the Pokemon games to embrace an open world type of game.
Yeah.
But because, I mean, if you look back at Red and Blue, I mean, Gold and Silver, I mean, those are by a loose definition of it. I mean, open world games is a sort.
Yeah.
When you really think about it, break it down, I mean, the entire map is all right there for you to explore. The only reason that you can't explore it all in one go is because they put certain blocks in the way to gate your progression. But once you've crossed all of those blocks and you are at the end of the game, you have access to the entire world and it's all seamless.
Yeah.
But then it's 2D and
but then it's not a 3D open world. And I think just with the time frame that Game Freak gives them to work on their games, that going full open world, as much as like people have been clamoring for it, the Switch was not the right place for it to debut.
Right.
Yeah.
That like Scarlet Violet really would have benefited just from coming up with some kind of excuse to gate off each biome with a loading screen of some form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it would have saved them so many resources on the back end with just not having to render that entire world
Right.
Yeah.
And
constantly.
yeah.
Another issue with it was that like that game had like no sort of like encounter scaling like say Skyrim would. So like if you happen to stumble across an area where like it's meant to be later on in the game, say like thing that I actually did, attempted to go to the psychic gym from the bug type gym, which is like level wise probably one of the last gyms you go to.
Yeah.
Like you were allowed to do that, but you really didn't need to. Like it's kind of similar to one of your complaints about like Final Fantasy 2, if I remember correctly. It's just like if you stumble across the wrong enemy encounter.
Yeah. Yeah, in Final Fantasy 2 though, it was random encounters as well that made it really really bad. I kind of get what you're saying with that though. It's similar, but
Yeah, like you can
the
see what you're running
yeah.
into.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference than like, oh, let's just walk over here to this empty tile and oh, there's a thing here that's going to kill me and I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, the issue that Scarlet Violet falls into with that is more so, like you said, sort of it's like, well, all of these things you can go to technically, but they're so high level above you that you're not going to really be able to progress in them. So what's the point? Sort
Yeah.
of. That's another thing where previous games would have just kind of locked you out with like an HM that you didn't have yet or something like that.
Yeah.
Where this one, it's like you still have a little bit of that, just depending on what abilities that you've gotten for your ride Pokemon at that point. But like a lot of that world, you can just from the onset basically go all wherever you want, whether or not you can battle anything in that area or not. And it's like it's cool to have that sense of freedom, but like it just didn't benefit that game at all.
It really didn't.
Because it's like, oh, I can go to the psychic gym first. Cool. I can't beat them, so why?
Yeah.
Right.
There's still a set order that you have to go through everything, even if they tell you you can go and do anything you want at any point.
Right. I kind of think that like with Breath of the Wild coming out, people were like, "Hey, why can't X game franchise have a Breath of the Wild?" And they don't fully understand, like, hey, I was gonna say Breath of the Wild is lightning in a bottle, but they made a second one.
Yeah.
But like, it's
They
a
don't
really good
grasp
game.
They don't grasp what it was about Breath of the Wild that made it what it was.
Yeah.
Simply throwing a game in an open world environment with a pretty graphic style, or in the case of Pokemon Scarlet Violet, an attempt at a pretty graphic style completely hampered by the inability to optimize.
Yeah.
But there's so many aspects that go into making what Breath of the Wild was that a lot of games attempting that just fail.
And yeah, part of it might too be that like Legend of Zelda had already done a faux open world in its first game, so it's not hard to get that style of gameplay into an open world. Whereas something like Pokemon or Kirby, it's not the same genre that you're trying to force into.
Or Sonic.
Yeah, or Sonic, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, really like one of the best examples of a game that did like understand the homework essentially in transitioning what they had to an open world environment would have been Elden Ring last year.
Yes.
Taking the Dark Souls formula and expanding it out to open world. Because Elden Ring was just by and large, I mean, it was a phenomenon last year. People are still obviously talking about it this year. And like it will forever be next to Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom in the discussion of greatest open world games of all time, just for everything that it did properly. Like, they just hit
Right.
it out of the park with that game. That's another one of those games where, yeah, you can just go and do whatever you want from the onset, but it's all skill-based, whether or not you can beat a later game boss earlier or not. It's not like in Pokemon where it's pretty much your levels, and that's it. That affects the ability to go into these tougher areas. Obviously, I mean, we see posts on Twitter and YouTube and stuff all the time of people doing these like really exploiting cheesy things and stuff. I mean, obviously you can go in with a level 1 Rattata if you know what you're doing.
Yep.
Sort of thing. But like the vast majority of players' experience is not going to be that. Whereas with something like an Elden Ring, you can go and fight that first boss at level 1, and if you're skilled enough, you can just beat it. It doesn't matter what your level is because it's all about the skill, the reflexes and stuff. And then just the levels in that game that you accrue just go to just kind of edge off the difficulty a little bit. So that way, if you are struggling with a specific boss or like just a basic mob encounter, you can go to an area that's a little bit lower leveled and grind for levels and stuff for a while and kind of build up your reflexes and familiarize yourself with your loadout and just the overall mechanics of the game. So that way, by the time you come back, you've got a little bit more experience for it and all that. Elden Ring is still a game I wish I had more time to put into it. I was really happy with my most recent build that I was working on with that one. I just found this like really cool scythe that was really fun to play with, and I just lost the time to play it. But I have tried other Souls games in the past, and I'm not good at hyper difficult games at all. But even that in mind, Elden Ring still managed to rope me in. So it's doing something really well. It's doing many things really well, actually, as opposed to other post Breath of the Wild open world games that kind of look at the Breath of the Wild thing and thought, hey, why can't we do that? Like Sonic.
Yeah. Not every game needs to be open world.
Yeah.
It's not open world, it's open zone.
Open Sonic terminology equivalent of a world.
Yeah, my perspective on Frontiers has kind of shifted. It feels like I find each part of the gameplay in that game to be fun, like exploring the open world, playing the cyberspace levels, the cyber chase.
Cyber chase.
What a good edutainment show.
Learn math with Sonic. The cyberspace levels, and then I guess the Amy missions aren't as fun. But most of the cyberspace levels and the open world are the main two parts of that game, and I find those fun. But tacking on the like character missions and the fishing, it doesn't feel cohesive.
Yep. Yeah, Sonic Frontiers it has all the makings of a better than average Sonic game.
Mm-hmm.
No. I mean, it is a better than average Sonic game. It has all the makings of a better than average game.
Yeah.
But it commits a few cardinal sins of game design that I cannot get over.
Mm-hmm.
Namely, it is locking your progression behind collectibles.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've said this before on the podcast in discussion of Sonic Frontiers. I hate that in any game.
Right.
And like,
that's how Metroidvanias work.
But those are actually things that actually affect your gameplay, though. This I'm talking about is like literally just collectibles. Like, say you could not advance to the next level if you didn't have 150 rings. I mean, rings is obviously a bad example to use, but it's simple enough to kind of understand.
Right.
Like say like you can't go to level 2 unless you have 150 rings. And say there are in the level 175 rings that you can pick up throughout the entire level. So after a certain point, you have to really start looking.
Yeah.
And it gets really, really frustrating at that point.
Yeah. And I think why that didn't bother me was because I was just having fun with the open world and just ended up with all of the collectibles.
Yeah. Yeah. The funny thing about Sonic especially is like the game knows it. So it put that fishing mini game in where you can just completely circumvent it.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you know the system is bad, then why did you put it in there?
I think it's a Sonic adventure in Sonic history. I think they're going to make they are obviously going to make a sequel in the same style they've said.
Yeah. Yep.
I think the sequel will be better.
I hope so. Because like it would have been just so much better if they just cut out the garbage with the collectibles and just let me go from story beat to story beat, from mission to mission.
Right.
But no, it's like in addition to having to find where I'm supposed to go to even unlock this mission, I have to get X amount of this specific collectible before it even opens for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. I have to collect the Triforce maps and then decode the Triforce maps and then go find the Triforce pieces in Wind Waker.
Yeah.
It's slightly better in Wind Waker HD, but not really.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was just ooh. Do not like it. Don't.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Piles upon piles of fetch quests are really bad ways of padding out games. Especially open world games where you can go anywhere.
That's really what it is too, is it's padding. It's like we're afraid our game isn't going to be long enough for people's unrealistically ever growing standards of how long a game has to be in order to be worth the $70.
Yeah.
But like
Prime Remastered needed to be Metroid Prime length, and it turned out fine. So
I would much rather take a fantastic 10, 15 hours for $70 than 100 hours where 75 of those 100 hours are spent doing menial tasks like hunting down these stupid collectibles in the overworld.
I got good news for you. Sonic Generations exists.
It does. But yeah, that's another problem with modern open world games, though, is bloat.
Yep.
And there's one franchise in particular that is especially guilty of it. Assassin's Creed.
Yep.
Yeah, you want to talk about a series that has gone down?
Yeah.
I mean, Lucas, you'll say it was never up to begin with, but...
That's true. The first game literally bored me to sleep.
But Assassin's Creed 2 was phenomenal. Like, all the games with Ezio were great. And then Assassin's Creed 3 was... Yeah, like...
Nothing against Altair, it's just like the environment that they place you in. It's like so far between cities that I literally fell asleep trying to get from point A to point B.
Yeah, and Ezio wasn't Altair more of like a silent protagonist in a way too?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Altair and Ezio actually has a bit more of a personality to him. He like is a fully fleshed out character. So, and he's a really good character too. I remember playing Assassin's Creed 2 the first time. It was just like wowed by just the story in that game and how fun it was. Like everything that they tried to do with Assassin's Creed 1, but just didn't quite hit the mark. They perfected it in 2. And then Assassin's Creed 3 took place in the Revolutionary War and just
Eh.
The setting just wasn't great. But Assassin's Creed 4, best pirate game ever made, still to this day.
Yes, Assassin's Creed band that Henry Rollins was in.
It's so good. And I guess the funny thing is now I think Ubisoft is actually remaking it.
Oh no. Why? You're gonna make it worse.
Well, here's the thing. Have you guys been keeping up at all? Well, I wouldn't say keeping up. I wouldn't expect you to be keeping up because you're not as like on top of the gaming landscape as I am usually. But you guys familiar with Skull and Bones?
Nope.
Okay. Well, Skull and Bones is basically the pirate stuff from Black Flag turned into an entire game where all you do is the pirate stuff. But
actually, I do know of this.
It started development in like 2014.
Yeah.
And has been delayed constantly ever since. It was supposed to come out this year, and then they showed off. I think they either did a gameplay beta or they just did another like gameplay showcase of it. And it was still so bad that they delayed it again out of this year.
Wow.
But the worst part about it...
It's going to be 10 years of delay.
The worst part about it is I think they signed some kind of contract with some like foreign government that they have to release this game.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, no.
I think it was like Singapore or something. They invested money in the development of the game. So they have to release, they are contractually obligated to release this game.
Oh no.
Hey, you know how we were talking about Sonic earlier? Don't release your game because you want it out by a certain date. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
But like every time they've shown this game, it's just looked worse. So I think what Ubisoft is doing now is they're still contractually obligated to release Skull and Bones. I have been saying for like 2 years now, ever since like this all came to my attention, just cancel Skull and Bones, remake Black Flag. And now there's a rumor floating around that they're remaking Black Flag, and it's hilarious. So I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna take like the skeleton of Skull and Bones. They're gonna take the skull and the bone and the bones, I guess, to complete the skeleton.
Yeah.
Use that as the basis to build a new remake of Black Flag around. Which is ironic because this kind of started as an offshoot of Black Flag to begin with.
Yeah.
But like, Black Flag was really good. And they tried to reuse the ocean combat in later entries in the series, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which took place in ancient Greece, and it wasn't as good. They just nailed it so perfectly with Black Flag, and that was, to me, I still think that's the last actually good Assassin's Creed game. After Black Flag, they kind of were like, they looked at The Witcher 3 and were like, we want to do that, but with Assassin's Creed. And the problem with that is they still kept the annoying parts of Assassin's Creed as well. So like the going to the top of the tower to unlock parts of the map and all that junk. But now you're on this giant open world. And they rearranged the combat controls for whatever reason. And they turned it into more of an RPG than an action game like it was previously. And I mean, I know I'm the RPG guy here, but they're just... I tried with Odyssey so much. I put 25 hours into that game and just could not take a moment more. The combat did not feel good at all. They had abandoned a lot of what made Assassin's Creed fun and unique to begin with, which was the stealth mechanics and the assassinations and stuff like that. in favor of just making it a clone of The Witcher 3, but just with all of the not as good stuff about Assassin's Creed at the forefront.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and Odyssey was pretty bloated. Getting back to the whole subject of like modern open world games and suffering from bloat, and that's where this whole kind of rant began, was talking about the bloat. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is just, I have never heard of anyone speak of that game and having played for less than 100 hours. And every single person that I've heard talk about this game and their experience with it over that 100 hours has been, there's just way too much in this game. It is exhausting.
Yeah.
And that's just kept me away from it entirely. It's like,
Yeah.
if I want to play a good Viking action game, I'll play God of War. Like, I don't need a game that's just artificially bloated to 100 hours.
There, it's almost not just like a loss of, or like bloat from open worldedness, but also just like an overall loss of the game's identity. Cause
Yeah. Well, also, I think they also, because you remember the original Assassin's Creed games also had that cool, like, modern day twist.
Yeah.
Where, like, Desmond Miles is like, you're actually playing as his ancestors and you are a character in the present day, but like experiencing his ancestors through the past. And that was the whole premise for the first 4 games.
Yeah.
And then they lost that. And then, and I don't think they even have that aspect at all in these ones anymore. I think they are all starting with Assassin's Creed Origins and then going into Odyssey and Valhalla. I think they're all just period pieces, and that's it. Which, I mean, is fine, but that's not what made Assassin's Creed unique.
Yeah. It's really a series that has kind of lost its identity due to open worldedness.
Absolutely. And,
not that I was fond of it in the first place. I'm sorry, Assassin's Creed fans. I'm sure this is disappointing to you.
But like, just when I hear that this game is just 100 hours long, it's like, and
how many of those 100 hours did it actually need?
Yeah, like, I mean, you hear people talk about RPGs being 100-hour experiences all the time. It's like, I constantly hear people refer to like Final Fantasy VII as a 100-hour game, and it's not a 100-hour game. There's a lot of side content in there that you can put 100 hours into this game if you want to, but it's not 100 hours. Like, and then on the flip side, there's like Persona 5. That is legitimately a 100-hour game, but it's engaging from hour 1 all the way up until the finish. So you don't feel like you're putting as much time into it as you are, because it's not bloated. It's just because it constantly has your attention and your engagement. And then, like, last year I played Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It took me 115 hours. I didn't have to put 115 hours into it, but I was so invested in the game that that's how many hours I got out of it. I could have finished it in 50 if I just beelined the story. But like a game like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where I literally single person say it took them any less than 100 hours with that game. And then some people put that 100 hours in and they haven't even finished it because it was just too much. It's like, no, too much.
Yep.
It's like the games that benefit most from long investments of time are either like Persona, where they just are that long, but they don't feel like it because they're so engaging throughout. Like, they're not hitting you with a bunch of busy work everywhere. It's like literally this story. You're like watching through an entire anime basically as you're playing.
Yeah.
So it's engaging. And then other stuff like Skyrim, where the game isn't really long at all. I mean, you could critical path Skyrim and finish it in like 12 hours. It's not long. But where the hours stack up in Skyrim is just you making your own story in the game.
Yeah. Good game to just go take a walk in the woods with.
Yeah. It's like it's one of those games where you could just pick it up and put it down at your leisure. You could play it for 10 hours and then put it down for a month and come back and put 50 more into it a month later and stuff. And it's not something where you ever feel like you've lost your bearings in it. It's always just right there waiting for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 Well, do we have anything else we want to add here before we kind of scoot away? I think we actually, you know what? I think we did a pretty okay job of being critical, but also having some things that we do enjoy about it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely still not as like positive as our platformers episode, but I mean,
Because platformers are better.
yeah. But I mean, we didn't go scorched earth on it, so
No.
I think, no, I think it's okay. I think we did okay.
Honestly, looking at some games while we were recording and before this, I've played a lot of like sort of open world games that I like Jack and Daxter mentioned earlier, Sly Cooper. But
Legend of Zelda 1, Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can make them good. It's just the current model that everyone seems to be striving for is not sustainable.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's
Espe-
the reason why open world has kind of turned to just like a meaningless marketing buzzword to me, because like everyone's trying to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of an issue with just modern game culture as a whole, is like genre specifically becoming just marketing buzzwords
Yeah.
and stuff. Like back in the day, I don't remember like on the box of a video games like this is a like platformer, or this isn't like, you know, where they made it like such a big part of the game's identity. It's just what the game was.
Yeah.
Where like nowadays a lot of game marketing is like very in your face with what kind of game it is, instead of just letting the game speak for itself.
Yeah.
And then they like throw a lot of and then like the style, like you go on to like Steam and look at the page for like a modern game and there's like a million different like genre keywords on them now. It's like
Yeah.
Well, part of that is like the way Steam works, because then there's more games like it
right
on the little sidebar, and you're like, I'm more into this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it serves a utility sort of on Steam, but then like people like they'll go and just put those entire things into the marketing of a game.
Oh yeah.
It's like, this is an open world roguelike action RPG with elements of race car simulation and whatever, like
deck building.
Like
yeah.
Well, it's kind of a joke if you look at a bunch of like the what's the word for like garbage throwaway games?
Open world.
Shovelware?
No, shovelware. Yeah, like a bunch of
roguelike.
We'll get there. But no, like a bunch of like shovelware games that you find on like the PlayStation and Nintendo stores. Like literally the title of the game is just like all of these genre keywords mashed together.
Right. It's like the eBay name for whatever product you're looking for.
Yeah. Yes. That's the curse of Google SEO in action there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotta have all the buzzwords, otherwise Google ain't gonna put you on top.
Like Power Color Radeon RX 580 video card, PC video card, VGA adapter card.
Those sure are words.
Anyway, let's move on to our next segment, our final segment, our weekly Link to the Past. Link to the Past is technically by some metric an open world game, by the way.
Especially if you play the randomized version.
Anyway, this week, our Link to the Past was on the date of episode release this week because I didn't really find anything for the date of recording that really jumped out at me, but this one did. On the date of episode release, which is July 11, but 20 years ago in 2003, in Japan, we got Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3.
Terrible
Still-
title.
Terrible.
Fantastic game.
Terrible title. Oh, the Super Mario Advance games just crack me up because they're all like this.
It's the fourth one, but it's the third one.
It's the third one, but
Playing
it's
the second one, it's the fourth one. You playing the first one, it's the second one, actually.
Well, Super Mario Advance 1, wasn't that Super Mario World also?
Super Mario Advance 2 was Super Mario World.
The
3
Super
was
Mario
Yoshi's
World's the
Island.
But Super Mario World's the fourth one, and Yoshi's Island is the fifth.
Yep.
Why is it like this? Nintendo, what are you doing? Wait. Super Mario Advance 1 and 2 are just Mario and Mario 2, right?
Yeah, Super Mario Advance is Super Mario Brothers 2. Super Mario Advance 2 is Super Mario World.
Oh my god,
They
Nintendo!
didn't bother with Super Mario Brothers 1 for the Super Mario Advance games because there was Super Mario Brothers Deluxe on the Game Boy Color.
Right.
Oh my god, why, Nintendo? Why? Just why?
It would make a little more sense if they did 3 after 2, but they jumped straight to Super Mario World.
Yeah.
But wait, it gets worse. I'm pretty sure there is a Game Boy Advance port of Super Mario Brothers 1 as part of like the NES Classic series.
Oh
when
my
they
god,
released
you're
the
right.
Classic Game Boy Advance. That
You're
was
right.
stylized after the NES controller.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But anyway, this version of the game was notable because it added a bunch of new features via the very short-lived e-reader accessory,
Yeah.
which was basically an accessory that clips in onto the top of your GBA and it clips into the expansion port for the link cable. And it kind of locks onto the top of the console there. And then you would buy a bunch of cards with little barcodes on the side and you swipe them through the e-reader to unlock a bunch of different content and stuff. There was like different levels and all that they added to the game. And a very cool thing, but back then the e-reader thing was they were trying to capitalize on the boom of trading cards in the West especially.
Yeah.
And
Pokemon cards.
yep, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh were kind of at their heights at the time, and of course Magic the Gathering was still trucking along.
Yep.
But what's really neat about this is the Switch release that they finally did back in February just has all of that content unlocked from the get-go.
Really?
Making the Switch release of Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario Advance 4, actually the definitive way to play Super Mario 3.
Huh.
Because it's got literally all of that content built into it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah. Especially
Yeah,
because like the e-reader stuff wasn't really ever available in North America. That kind of got canned and scrubbed before it came over.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. So happy 20th birthday to a port of a significantly older game. But this port has a very bad name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super.
Just like all the Super Mario Advance games, really.
That entire series is just cursed.
Yep.
But the funny thing is a lot of them. Well, I would debate Super Mario World just because it's got the washed out color palette so much.
Yeah.
But like Super Mario Bros. 3, this is like the definitive version of this game by far.
Yeah.
But yeah, 20 years ago, Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3, the worst name I ever heard. And we are done with episode 30.
Woo!
So
Dang.
that's crazy. 30
Yeah.
episodes. How did we
Yep.
do it? How did we do it?
How
Now
did-
a bunch of angry Assassin's Creed fans are gonna come in and get us canceled, so we won't have another episode after this, unfortunately. But I mean, at least we had 30.
Yeah,
But hey,
it's a good number to get up to.
yeah.
They're just mad their series can't do open world good.
Oh man, Lucas, where can they find you and your spicy open world takes outside the podcast?
Well, I have a link tree. It's linktr.ee/karn_evil_999. It's got links to my Twitter, which is the same handle, Karn_evil_999. Yeah, you can add me on Steam if you want, I guess. There's links to join our Discord and all that fun stuff. Check out past episodes of the podcast because I got them there too.
Yeah, what about Neal?
I am also on the link tree. You can go to linktr.ee/vmk9, where I have links to my Twitch channel where I stream Minecraft every Monday, starting around 6:30 or 7. Not sure when this episode goes out. It'll be the day before. Not sure what we'll be doing. We'll figure out something. Sure, it will be fun. I got a bunch of links for That One Gaming Podcast, and my Twitter is @IamVMK9, and I also have a link to my old YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/VMK9. And yeah, that's where you can find me. So I will say I've kind of fallen off updating Delicious Morsels YouTube channel here, our friend Colin, mostly due to my battery screwing things up. But I'm going to try to get back on track. I should have something up on the same day that this episode releases. It's going to be a backlog thing. I might be able to get the previous episode out. Maybe. We'll see. But I'm going to try to get back on that. Just had a little bit of a stumbling block with this most recent couple episodes because the intro is new. And
New intro.
Yeah, and I'm being...
Yeah, we never actually addressed that.
Did we never do it in the podcast?
I
No.
don't think we did.
I completely forgot the first episode we aired it.
I knew that.
And then we just never talked about it. Yeah. So that's our year 2 intro.
Yeah.
That started like halfway into year 2 because we did a theme month right as our second year started. So
Yep.
yeah. I just kind of had the idea that like every year the podcast could be like a different season of an anime with a different opening theme. So that's just,
right.
So you can expect a new one next year as well.
Yes.
I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I'll figure that out when I get there.
Right.
And as for myself, if you're watching / listening to this episode on YouTube, you're already in the right place. youtube.com/deliciousmorsels. And I'm also on Twitter @deliciousmorsel, where I talk about a lot of RPG stuff. I basically live tweeted my entire Final Fantasy V playthrough over the course of 2 days.
And confirmed.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. And also, all of my music that is showcased on That One Game episodes can be found on Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your music. But I've got links to those 2 profiles in the description below. You can follow me and get notified whenever I release new music. And with that said, if you like what you heard here today, please be sure to hit the subscribe button where that's an option. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or other relevant places where they allow reviews, but Google Podcasts, for whatever reason, doesn't, even though I wish they did, because that's my primary podcasting platform. Anyway, if you leave us a review, please be 5 stars, because I hear they like that stuff. hit the like button if that's a thing, and feel free to share this episode with a friend. We're going to be back in a couple weeks with another episode, but until then, have a wonderful rest of your day, and remember,
Play for the cap.
Stay for the Bears.
And watch out for creepy bear sex scenes in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes, please. We don't want that.
That's not what we meant by stay for the Bears!